Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. In this series of talks, we will be dealing with Islamic spirituality or mysticism, and we will be looking at the treatise of Nasiruddin Tusi, Sheikh Nasiruddin Tusi, named as Awsaf al-Ashraf, the attributes of the noble ones. As far as mysticism is concerned, it is a discipline that is known as an experiential discipline, which is individualistic and intuitive. What do we mean by these terms? Well, as opposed to philosophy, which asks the question how things are, and then logically argues for how things are in a language that one and all understand precisely, when the mystic talks about how things are, they are talking about how they experience things. And since it's all about experiencing things, a mystic can only provide an explanation or a description of what they understand of how things are. The listener, at the level of description, will understand intellectually how things are like a philosopher, but will not experience the things unless they themselves were to embark on the journey and then experience it. However, if a person does embark on that journey, then it would become an individualistic journey of their own in which they are personally experiencing things. So as Mutahari says, that when we talk about how things are in philosophy, we can adequately talk about how things are and know that what we are saying is exactly what we mean. But when we talk about how things are in mysticism, we are merely sharing descriptions and we do not have recourse to what each other are feeling. We can explain this more precisely. Somebody can explain to us how going from Birmingham to London looks like intellectually in the world of imagination. For example, that we come out on a particular road, we will see service stations, we will feel cold, we will feel warm, we will need petrol in the car, what route to enter London from, what sights to see in London, how we will find London beautiful, how we will feel the excitement. That would be a description of the journey. However, it would not mean that we understand it as it is in itself until we set out from Birmingham, we open the window of the car, we feel the cold breeze, we push the pedal and we feel the speed beneath us. We stop at the service station, we taste the food, and we can understand what it feels like tasting. We go into London and our anticipation comes to an end and we feel that excitement, that rush of energy, that joy that we feel. Then we go and we see the Big Bang, we see the Big Ben, and we hear the sound of that big clock and the excitement that we feel. Or it is like describing love to an alien who does not feel any emotion. We say love is this type of a feeling, but the alien doesn't understand feelings, so they are only working on descriptions. So we say to the alien, well, when somebody is in a state of love, you will find a smile on their faces. So when the alien comes to this world and sees somebody smiling and says, oh, this person is in a state of love and joy, and we say, no, on the contrary, there's a gun on the back of the head of that alien, and this is a smile of nervousness, not of happiness. That is the sort of thing we are talking about. Mysticism, as we will discuss now, is a description of how a person will be as they journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But this is merely a description. Nobody can make anybody else feel what is to be felt. When a person embarks on the journey, they begin to feel the journey and they begin to grow. Again, mysticism is a journey, not a philosopher's journey of intellectual growth, of disclosing things and their secrets and understanding them at the level of the mind as to how they are. But it's a journey in which we are becoming at every stage of the journey, and we are feeling the journey, not thinking through the journey. It is more like the journey of a seed becoming a tree, in which the seed gives away the seedling state and germinates into a far greater state until it becomes a tree, grows branches, leaves, and gives fruits. So this journey is not like the one that we take from Birmingham to London in a car in which we are stable and the car is moving arbitrarily. This is a journey in which we are the point of motion and growth, and in which two moments are not the same. The Prophet of Allah has said, cheated is one whose 2 days are the same. Cursed is one whose today is worse than his yesterday. The reason he has said this is because 24 hours have elapsed and the individual has stopped receiving benefit, Rahmaniyya and Rahimiyya of God in terms of inner growth, and the person is, although within a fixed time frame, has stopped journeying. It's a person who needs to get to London, but who is resting at a service station and does not realize the urgency of the need to embark on the travel and to complete the journey. Again, as Mutahari says, when the philosophers talk about morals and morality and moral refinement, they talk about it haphazardly. They talk about in terms of virtue ethics, that we should be generous, we should be fearless, we should be kind, we should be truthful. But they do not talk about it in a very structured way. Whereas a mystic would talk about spiritual wayfaring, refinement of the character, spiritual growth, moral refinement and betterment in a very, very structured fashion. What comes first? What comes after? So a mystic would say, where do you begin from? What are the obstacles? What are the states that you will face? What are the subsequent states? What are the preceding states? Mutahari gives an analogy of a room that needs to be decorated. He states that a philosopher would simply state that it needs to be carpeted, painted, the ceiling has to be plastered, there needs to be furniture in there, but will not give a sequence. Therefore, if the carpet is laid first, and then the ceiling is plastered, the carpet might get ruined. If the walls are to be painted, then in that case, the skirting board might become tarnished again. Whereas if a mystic were to explain, he would say the essential part is to plaster the ceiling first, then to paint the walls, and then the essential furnitures like carpet, then sitting furniture like sofa, then the curtains, and then a television. It is a well-structured system. We will recap here before we go into describing Nasiruddin Tusi's treatise. Mystical wayfaring, as explained by our ulama, is the description of what we call Irfan al-Amali, the practical mystical wayfaring. This is as opposed to Irfan al-Nadari, the theoretical mysticism where we talk about the oneness of the whole of existence and how it is displaying the names of God in its entirety. But that has to be experienced at the core of our being. In order for us to experience this, we have to set out on a journey of experiencing. What we will do now is give a description of that journey in a general way that each one can embark on individually and in their individual context, experience it all, and arrive at the point where they can see the real unity of God prevalent within the whole of existence and how it is only representing God. As far as the treatises on mystical wayfarings are concerned, the best one that has ever been produced and the most comprehensive is by Khaja Abdullah al-Ansari, which is Manazil al-Sa'irin, in which he talks about 10 stages of mystical wayfaring, and each 10 stage have 10 subdivisions, and therefore there are 100 chapters and 100 discussions there. As far as Sheikh Tusi is concerned, he has devised his treatise over 6 sections, and each one of these 6 sections has subdivisions. So he begins with the beginning of a journey. Obviously, if we are beginning on a journey, then it has to have a point of beginning. So just like the physical journey, he gives an analogy of the spiritual journey with the physical journey. So he says, before you embark on a journey, there has to be a point of commencement. There has to be a steed upon which you drive, upon which you ride. There has to be provision for that journey.